everybody, this is Mario Kaiba. Screwing the rules because I have no money. Well, okay, this is more or less to explain my absence for like a week. Well, now technically over a week. Man. Okay, for starters, you all know my Australian friend, Zio Returns, aka Boomer 3 of Boom Squadron. Anyway, he likes to send me computer parts because his old computer is a similar model to my new one. Like, he had an Optiplex 990, while I have an Optiplex 790. Though his is a tower and mine, well, his is a small form factor, and mine is a tower with the desktop model motherboard because the original motherboard got burnt by a RAM stick. Defective. Anyway, he sent me some new RAM, which was like four 4 gig sticks, equaling 16 gigs of RAM, and an SSD. Well, I install the SSD and install the RAM, but some odd reason, I've been having trouble with frickin' installing Windows. Normally, I just install like Capia 7 and do the upgrade thing. However, it was having issues, and I spent almost a week trying to figure it out. Like, I tried installing different versions of 7, from Home to Pro to even a cracked version of Pro called the ATI Edition, which was my first Windows 7 experience ever, so that one's nostalgic. However, the only one that would install was the ATI Edition, and that would occasionally blue screen. Everything else would do an error when you try to install. I even tried directly installing Windows 10, nothing worked. It wasn't until a few days ago I decided to swap out the RAM with, well, my old 2 gig sticks and a couple 1 gig sticks I had laying around because my other 2 gig sticks were in my old computer. I wanted to boost that thing up a little. The Boomertron. Anyway, Windows installed instantly. However, I had my SSD in Boomertron because I figured, install Windows 10 into it because I found out about the whole license connected to your Microsoft account thing. And turns out I had a license and didn't know it for Windows 10. Though it's only good for like one computer. So, the other hard drive, which was the one I backed up my stuff to, is what I used when I was experimenting on the Optiplex. And note, I'd backed everything up to a different hard drive by then. Guess what? When I installed Windows 10 on Boomertron, I forgot to disconnect that hard drive. So it was a hard drive I backed everything up to, and I'd lost everything. And I mean everything. My frickin' VTubing stuff from my Vroid files, VRMs, my textures, even my frickin' stream overlays. I know what you're all thinking. But how are you doing it all right now? Well, I had to get a recovery program. First one I used was Disk Drill, which only could recover like 500 megabytes worth of data for free. Then you had to get a subscription. And I spent those 500 points wisely getting back all my VRMs, Vroid files, textures, and a few of my freaking saved formats for GIMP that I use for my thumbnails. After I got, alright, that's better. After I got that stuff back, everything else I used a different program, which, by the way, does not copy the exact labels. Like everything you named a file, it gets rid of and names it by a number. I was able to recover a few more things through that before realizing I actually had some embarrassing pictures somewhere saved and had to delete those. Luckily for me, I'd backed everything else up year, last year in June on my old laptop. You know, an old crap top from 2009, Inspiron 1525. Because I hadn't backed anything up since last June, I had a lot of files to update. Well, luckily on a whim, I freaking had a file that had all my OBS profiles and images like my border. I had that backed up, thank goodness. So yeah, I backed that up freaking, I think it was last month. When I freaking got out the laptop randomly and realized there was a big file I didn't back up. I should have updated everything to the laptop before starting all this crap, but I didn't think I would end up losing it all. I was lucky I had stuff backed up from then. So yeah, I freaking finally got all my programs reinstalled. I got all my files that were remaining transferred or recovered. Well, I'm still missing some things, but I gave up on that. But the important stuff, like my VRM files, some of my GIMPs 2 saves for like my thumbnails, those were important, and I'm glad to save those. But yeah, I thought I lost it all. I'm really glad I could recover stuff from that hard drive. But back to the computer issue, it was the RAM. I did a few more tests, like replace those 1 gig sticks with two of those 4 gigs, no problems at all. But the other two 4 gigs in started crashing. Tested each one of those remaining two individually and found out one of them was corrupt, which really made Zio angry. Trust me, you do not like to hear an angry Australian. But yeah, that was the problem. So right now, my Optiplex has two 4 gig sticks, two 2 gig sticks instead of one more 4 gig because it's better on the computer to have two smaller sticks than one bigger stick if it's the same size. And then there was one last issue I discovered last night. I re-download VMagic Mirror, it won't open when I double click on it. I download VC Face again, same issue. Well, I found ways to actually get VMagic Mirror to run. I'm going to make a tutorial video on that later for those having issues starting VMagic Mirror. One's a slightly simple fix that people who've messed with older versions of Windows and no command prompt could do. The other one, let's just say it's really easy. I'll make a tutorial video on that later. But for right now, I'm back. And yeah, I did interview Minnie Desley. I used a Boomertron for that because I managed to have a copy of Windows 7 installed and recorded the interview well, mostly fine. For some odd reason, she had a mic issue where her voice was hard to distinguish. She's a really soft speaker and a really polite person. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to redo the interview with her in the future, but I enjoyed it the first time, so I don't mind it. Heck, later today, I gotta interview Ibrahime on Mondays with Mario Kaiba. But yeah, that's the update. That's how everything went. That was my computer problems. And the worst part is my main regret is I had an old 120 gig hard drive that I originally used to operate Windows 10 on. I made a mistake of formatting that. And that was the hard drive that I backed everything up to for the second time, and that's the one that got wiped when I installed Windows 10 on Boomertron. But luckily for me, that was such a small hard drive that I was able to find everything when I used Disk Drill. And then the other program, which works pretty well for a freebie. Sadly, Vroid files, VRM files, XCFs, anything that's not one of the standard file types, it won't recover. But yeah, I spent like almost 12 minutes so far, so I'm gonna stop the video. And yes, I will be interviewing Ibrahime. Now this is Mario Kaiba, screwing the rules 'cause I have no money. Peace.